Have you ever wondered why we say goodbye? Why there's a finality to life, an ending that feels so fundamental to our existence? Well, there's an ancient story passed down through generations that speaks of a time before all of this. A time when death was a stranger, long before graves marked the earth, before tears even knew the shape of sorrow. The world existed in a gentle, unending rhythm. Life moved like a river that never ran dry. Children grew tall, elders grew wise, and no one ever truly vanished. The people of the world didn't know the heavy weight of a final farewell because goodbye hadn't been born yet. In those days, the sky rested close to the land, and above both reigned Chukwu, the great creator. His breath shaped the mountains, and his silence held mysteries beyond our knowing. He watched over the world and saw joy everywhere, but he also saw that something was missing. Without an end, life had no urgency. Love had no fear of loss. Time itself carried very little meaning. So Chukwu decided the world needed to change. One dawn, he summoned Aikna, the sacred messenger, known for being swift of foot and pure of heart. As Aikna knelt, the creator spoke, his voice steady but heavy with the consequence of his words. "Go to the humans," Chukwu said. "Tell them this. Life will now have seasons. When a person's body grows weary beyond healing and their purpose is fulfilled, their spirit shall return to me. Death will come gently, and the living will remember the dead with honor." Aikna bowed deeply. "I will carry your words exactly as you have spoken." But unseen, listening from the tall grasses nearby, was Owu, the trickster spirit. Small and sharp-eyed, Owu had always resented order. He envied humans their endless breath and hated the perfect balance Chukwu maintained. As he listened to the creator's plan, his lips curled into a slow, dangerous smile. If death must enter the world, Owu whispered to himself, then it will not come gently. Aikna began his journey toward the human villages, completely unaware that Owu was following him, like a shadow stretching longer with every step. When Aikna reached the first village, the people gathered around him, their faces filled with curiosity, not fear. Aikna stood tall and announced, "The Creator has spoken. Life will now have seasons, when one's purpose is fulfilled." But before he could finish, Owu slipped quietly into the crowd, whispering doubts into the waiting ears of the villagers. "Ask him again," Owu murmured. "Messengers forget things. A matter this important should be perfectly clear." A new and unsettling feeling rippled through the people, uncertainty. Aikna hesitated. He repeated the message, but the certainty in his voice had weakened, and the words no longer carried the same divine weight. That night, Aikna rested beneath a great baobab tree. As the fire died down to embers, Owu approached him openly. "Brother," Owu said softly, his voice like silk, "your burden is heavy. Let me help you spread the message so that no one misunderstands." Aikna frowned. The message must not be changed. Owu smiled gently. Of course not. But when the first light of dawn touched the sky, Owu ran ahead. He reached the next village before Aikna and stood before the people, lifting his voice for all to hear. "Chukwu has changed his mind," Owu declared with false authority. "Death will not wait for fulfillment. It will come whenever fate demands, without any warning. It will come for the young, for the strong, for the innocent." Fear exploded like a fire in dry grass. Mothers clutched their children close. Strong men began to tremble. When Aikna finally arrived, he found a village already broken by terror. "You lied to us," they cried out, their faces twisted with anguish. "You promised a gentle end." Aikna fell to his knees, his heart shattered. "That is not what I said," he pleaded, but he quickly learned that fear speaks much louder than truth. That very night, the first death came. An old woman, who had been laughing by the fire just moments before, suddenly collapsed. Her breath slipped from her body and did not return. The village waited, expecting her to rise again as people always had, but she did not. A profound silence fell, and then it was broken by screams. They shook her. They sang her favorite songs. They begged, but the woman was gone. In that single, devastating moment, humanity learned what grief was, and the earth absorbed its very first tears. Thunder rolled across the sky as Chukwu felt the imbalance tear through his creation. Aikna was summoned before the Creator, his face wet with shame. "You failed," Chukwu said, his voice filled not with anger, but with deep sorrow. "I spoke your words," Aikna replied through his tears. But deceit ran faster than truth. Just then, Owa stepped forward boldly. "Fear teaches obedience," he said, a smirk on his face. Chukwu's eyes burned with a divine fire. "Fear teaches suffering." Owu, the trickster, was banished, condemned to wander aimlessly between worlds for all eternity. Aikna was stripped of his sacred role and sent to walk among humans, a living reminder of the weight of responsibility and the power of words. Death, once it had been unleashed upon the world, could not be undone. But Chukwu, in his infinite mercy, spoke one final gift into existence. "Though death will now come," he said, his voice echoing through the heavens, "love will grow deeper in its shadow. Time will become precious, and through its end, life will finally gain its true meaning." Generations passed. Humans learned to bury their dead. They created farewell songs and rituals of remembrance. They learned to love fiercely, knowing that love could be lost. And slowly, they began to understand the cruel, beautiful irony. It was death that had taught life its ultimate value. And so, even today, elders pass down the wisdom born from that tragic mistake. Live well, for you will not live forever. Speak truth, for words cannot be taken back. And love deeply, for all our time is borrowed. Because once, death was not part of our world, and when it finally came, it stayed. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales that explore the heart of our shared human experience.